Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing top 10 comic book Kickstarters of the month. And before we jump into this, I do want to mention that I do Kickstarter consulting. So if you want your page to look better from a PR or marketing standpoint, or improve your social media during your Kickstarter campaigns, leave me a DM or message me. Also, I do have a Kickstarter going on right now for They Call Her Dancer, issue 1 and 2. It's about a dancer/assassin who witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. So that is live on Kickstarter. Now, before jumping into the top 10, I do have a couple of people that I want to mention because they are friends. I can't put them into the top 10, but I do want to mention their campaigns. So first up is Mechaton. Wells is a great writer and actually was one of the writers for my bisexual anthology, By Visibility. And if you are a fan of the friendly neighborhood superhero with a mix of Japanese mecha, go check out this one. And next up, we have Haunting issue 1 through 4 by my fellow co-editor of By Visibility, a bisexual anthology, and co-writer for my webtoon Slice of Life. And this is a book about a young boy, Bram, who has ghosts following him and does not want to deal with any of that drama. And of course, just like any other teenage boy. And this issue, we actually get to see a new character appear that is related to Bram's supporting character, Faith. It's really action-packed, and definitely go check out this Kickstarter. There's some wonderful covers and just a awesome story as well. Now moving on to the Adept issue 2. Charlie is a good friend and also just a wonderful writer, which has been proven with titles like White Ash and all have been slam dunks on Kickstarter. And one of my favorite titles from him is The Adept. If you're a fan of martial arts, and especially a female-driven martial arts story, go check out the second issue of Adept. Now, moving into the top 10. So number 10 for me is Moth Hill issue 1, and I am a sucker for a good mystery story, and this really hits a lot of pieces of mystery here, where we get to see a detective move into a mysterious isolated town, and of course there is death upon them. So, this is, again, a lot of classic notes here. Isolated town, small town, and then you have the detectives kind of coming in as the outsider perspective. And that thumbnail was really gritty, and that got me into it. Moving on to number 9, which is Sushio, hopefully I pronounced that right, plus punk. And this has to do with a psychological journey of a character who's punk rock, of course, and wants to be a rock star, but also, might be a god. And there's just so many different aspects here, again, ranging from punk rock to wanting to be a god, and somehow that all melds together. And I'm really curious to see, exactly how they meld that together. Moving on to number 8, which is The Whole World Blind. And if you are a Shakespeare fan, there's a lot of influence from Shakespeare to actually create this book, which is honestly the angle I was most interested in. I think it's interesting to see something that is prose move into a visual medium like comic books. Moving on to number 7, which is Lady Mayhem, and this just had a really fun, gritty style to it, almost a Sean Murphy style when it comes to the artwork, and it's a story about revenge, and I love my female stories, female-led stories, and revenge stories. So that's number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is actually a Make 100. You're going to see a lot of those during the month of January, because Kickstarter does their Make 100 campaigns. We actually have a Make 100 tier on our campaign, but there are actually some campaigns that just do Make 100, so that means they're making 100 of that product. Now, number 6 is It's Okay That It's Not Okay, a graphic novella, and I just thought this was a really interesting take, and it's great that it's a novella, so I think it's about 130 pages or so, and this is a different angle on grief, where we get to see it from a perspective of a workaholic, and how do you balance those emotions and most likely not make it in a healthy way, but is there a result of a healthy and happy ending? So that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Sidekick For Hire, issue 1 through 4. And this is just a fun concept. And I do love ongoing books on Kickstarter. You don't see it as often on the platform, so it's always a pleasure to see a book with multiple issues attached to it. And this is about a sidekick who's hired by a billionaire superhero, and he's just really bad at his job. So I'm guessing there's a lot of great comedic beats here, but it puts your superhero genre on its head. Moving on to number 4, one of my favorite titles on the Kickstarter platform for comics, and that is Kanakai. If you missed any of it, this is volume 2, so it's collecting the second parts of the issues for Kanakai, and this is just a great way to catch up on your favorite Cthulhu high school adventure. Moving on to number 3, which is KOLCHAK, the Night Stalker, and this is the 50th anniversary. I don't know much about this noir, but I do like a couple of the people that are attached to this project, especially David Avalon, who I know is very known for his pulp writing and noir writing. And, it's interesting that they're making this an anthology and celebrating anniversary. You definitely don't see that too often, celebrating anniversary on Kickstarter. You see that anthology format for DC and Marvel, so to see it from an indie perspective, I thought was a cool approach. So moving on to number 2, which is Enter Karma, the Sizzling erotic graphic novel. You do get to see some erotic graphic novels on the Kickstarter platform, but I haven't really seen that side from Dynamite Comics, so that's why it's so high on the list. I think it's cool to see publishers taking on new adventures. I do like seeing publishers on the platform utilizing Kickstarter and showing that there's other ways to buy comic books, and I think it's cool that they're actually exploring another story and a whole new medium and audience through the Kickstarter platform as well. So moving on to number 1, which is Black Bull Uprising Chapter 1, and this is about a hero who loses his brother through a police brutality, and this pushes him to become a vigilante. And I really like the artwork in the thumbnail. Obviously, it's a very powerful story as well, a different angle on the superhero genre, which is why it made my number 1 pick. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what were your favorite Kickstarters for the month. And thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.